Hey there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy. Not sure if you're chiming in via YouTube or listening via podcast, but either way, really do appreciate the listens and hope you enjoy the video here. We're going to continue along with our team reviews. Today we're going to look at the Chicago Blackhawks, where they're trying hard to fall for Bedard, so to speak there. We're going to take a look at their goaltenders, defense pairings, forwards, who plays on their special team unit, help determine who's really going to help you out for your upcoming drafts. We're taking a look at the line combinations based off of dailyfaceoff.com. I find them the most reliable. Do check out their website. They're usually pretty accurate and really good at updating, especially during the regular season there. And we'll get right into it. For their goaltending tandem this year, it's going to be Peter Marazzik and Arvid Soderblom. Assuming Alex Stalock doesn't make the team, just Daily Faceoff doesn't have him listed, and he only got into one game last year, I believe, and injury problems, etc. But Peter Marazzik coming over from Toronto, the salary dump. He's 30 years old. Last year, 20 games played. Nice record, 12-6-0. That's because you're playing in Toronto where they outscored the mistakes, because his other numbers were pretty ugly. 3.34 goals against average and 888 save percentage. If those back numbers, the goals against and save percentage, stay the same, his record isn't going to be that good, because Chicago's not very strong realistically there with the amount of talent they shipped out this offseason. Their backup, Arvid Soderblom, 22 years old. He got into 3 games last year. Really young goalie at only 22. He was 0-2-0 with a 5.01 goals against average and 863 save percentage. Last year in the AHL, he was 21-15-2 with a 2.76 goals against average and 919 save percentage. So a lot better numbers there. But realistically, if you can avoid taking a Chicago goalie, do it in your draft, because it's going to hurt you, because it's going to be a painful season for them. Really should be there. Moving on to defense, their top pairing should be Alex Vlasic and Seth Jones. Alex Vlasic should be on the second PK. Young D-man, only 21 years old. Last year got into 15 games. He had 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. 15 hits, 16 blocks, 12 shots on goal. Realistically, doesn't matter how he projects, he's probably not going to be fantasy relevant this year. If he ever does become fantasy relevant, it's going to be down the board, just because, like I mentioned, it's going to be rough this year in Chicago. On the flip side, his D partner, Seth Jones, he should still be fantasy relevant this year. He should be on the top power play unit, second PK unit, only 27 years old. Last year, 78 games played, 5 goals, 46 assists for 51 points. So 50-point season on a, well, let's face it, a bad Chicago team. He'll still produce for you. 19 power play points, so decent amount of power play production. 99 hits, 155 blocks, and 194 shots on goal. So well-rounded D-man, should still produce for you even on a weaker team. So definitely take him. Just, he's falling more into your mid-tier defenseman, not your top tier. So don't draft him too early, but definitely won't hurt you if you do draft him. His second pairing should be Jake Mccabe and Conor Murphy. Not going to be a lot of fantasy relevance here, but Jake Mccabe, he should be on the top PK, 28 years old. Last year, 75 games played. He had 4 goals, 18 assists for 22 points. So you could do a lot better on offensive production, where you might find some values if you're in a banger league, because he did have 166 hits, 167 blocks, and 80 shots on goal. Conor Murphy, he should also be on the top PK unit. He's 29 years old. Last year he got into 56 games, so 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points, so not screaming out production. But on a per-game basis, he actually out-hit and out-blocked Mccabe there. He had 130 hits, 150 blocks, and 71 shots on goal. Their third pairing looking into next year is Riley Sheehan and Seth's brother Caleb Jones. Now, Stillman, he's 24 years old. not going to provide a lot for you outside of hits, but 52 games played, had 2 goals, 10 assists for 12 points, 122 hits. That's where you're going to find any value, but realistically, you could probably find better options on the waiver wire there. 67 blocks and 49 shots on goal. Caleb Jones, he should be on the second PP unit, 25 years old. Last year, 51 games played, 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. He had that really nice stretch for 2 weeks there where he put up 8 or 9 points. So do watch him to see how he gets used. You might be able to stream him on a light night, but realistically, you're probably leaving him the F alone, to be honest with you. He had 1 power play point, 77 hits, 58 blocks, and 57 shots on goal. Their top line next year, the way it balancing out to look, according to Daily Faceoff, is Philip Kurashev, Lucas Reichel, and Patrick Kane. Now, anytime you're with Kane, your offensive production should increase. So Kurashev, he should be on the second PP unit. 22 years old. Last year, 67 games played, 6 goals, 15 assists for 21 points, 5 power play points, 31 hits, 30 blocks, 86 shots on goal. Realistically, you're probably going to leave him alone in the draft, but see how he gels with Kane. That might be somebody to pick up on the waiver wire in the first few weeks of the season there. Same with the centerman, Lucas Reichel. He should be on the top power play unit with Kane also. He's only 20 years old. He only had 1 point in 11 games in the NHL, but he's over a point per game as a teenager in the AHL, having 57 points in 56 games played. So you're probably going to leave him alone in the draft, but again, see how he meshes with Kane. He's definitely an offensive guy, so he will definitely put up more than 1 point in 11 games, but how much remains to be determined, so err on the side of caution, but definitely keep him in the back of your mind. Then Patrick Kane, obviously, is going to be fantasy relevant. He's should be on the top power play unit, 33 years old. Even at 32, he's putting up points. 78 games played, had 26 goals, 66 assists for 92 points. So well over a point per game, over the 90-point plateau again. 31 power play points, that's his bread and butter on the power play there. 11 hits, 26 blocks, and 287 shots on goal. So shot the puck a ton too. Second line, projected to be Tyler Johnson, Jonathan Taves, and Taylor Radish. Now Tyler Johnson, he's 32 years old, didn't play a lot last year, was injured. 26 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. Compared to what he did in Tampa, you can see his best days are behind him, so probably leaving him alone. 2 power play points, 37 hits, 7 blocks, 30 shots on goal. None of these stats wow you, so yeah, to be honest, leave him alone. You can find a lot better out there. Centerman Jonathan Taves, he's slated to be on the top power play unit. It's probably more of a courtesy considering what he's given to the franchise. First PK unit, 34 years old. Again, his best days are behind him, but still okay production for a streaming basis. 71 games played, had 12 goals, 25 assists for 37 points, so over half point per game. So might be able to use him on an off night, but realistically, you're not going to draft him. You'd pick him up when needed. 7 power play points, 25 hits, 22 blocks, and 125 shots on goal. Also, if face-offs are counted in your league, that might be somebody to look at because he is a very good face-off man. Other than that, not a lot of fantasy value there. Taylor Radish came over from Tampa Bay, and when he did, he actually had an uptick because he was getting increased minutes. Probably not enough for me to take a flyer on him, but we'll be watching to see how it progresses. He should also be on that top power play unit. 24 years old, last year 74 games played, 11 goals, 11 assists for 22 points. So not very good production, but it did see an uptick once he got over to Chicago, and he should stay in the top 6 on a, well, not very deep forward group in Chicago, to be honest. 4 power play points, 103 hits, 21 blocks, and 104 shots on goal. Their third line is Andreas Athanasiou, Max Domey, and Mackenzie and Whistle. Hard to say how this is going to pan out because not a lot of Athanasiou. He's went through quite a few organizations there. The talent is there, but he just hasn't given it as showed it on a consistent basis, I should say. Should be on the second power play unit. Still only 27, so he's right in his prime years. Last year, 28 games played, had 11 goals, 6 assists for 17 points. So decent production for only getting into 28 games. 1 power play point, 11 hits, 10 blocks, 71 shots on goal. So that'd be somebody similar to like an Anthony Mantha, I guess. If on a light night and they're on a hot streak, I'll probably pick him up on the waiver wire to play him on a light night. But other than that, I'm probably leaving him alone. But it could be a sneaky pickup on light nights there. Max Domey on the second power play unit, 27 years old, reunited with Richardson from Montreal when he did have his more productive years. Does that amount this year? I'm not holding my breath, to be honest with you, but he should get some, since he has familiarity with the coach, he might get a little bit of increased time there. Last year, 72 games played, 11 goals, 28 assists for 39 points, 4 of them on the power play, had 24 hits, 9 blocks, and 104 shots on goal. So do watch him. Might be more of a light night kind of claim again, but decent production. You could do worse, but I also have a pretty good feeling that you could do better too there. And the last one, Mackenzie and Whistle, not really fantasy relevant, should be on the second PP unit. Young kid, only 23 years old, got into 55 games last year, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points, had 129 hits, so decent hit total for only getting into 55 games, 22 blocks, 34 shots on goal. Realistically, leaving him alone, there's better options out there. Fourth line, nothing really to speak of fantasy-wise, but we'll go through them, is Boris Katchouk, Sam Lafferty, and Colin Blackwell. Now, Katchouk, he should be on the second PK unit, only 24 years old. He got into 59 games, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points, 138 hits, 20 blocks, 58 shots on goal. Outside of hits, not showing a lot of value. And for the 138 hit range, you could probably find somebody that'll give you better offensive production and some better stats in the other categories. Sam Lafferty, he should be on the top PK unit, only 27 years old. Last year, he had, in 56 games played, he had 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. So, again, more than likely leaving him alone. 137 hits, 26 blocks, 80 shots on goal. Almost identical to Katchouk. So, outside of hits, there's probably better offensive options that can get you the same amount of hits if that's counted in your league there. And the last one's Colin Blackwell. 29 years old. Got into 58 games last year, had 10 goals, 10 assists for 20 points, 91 hits, 24 blocks, 77 shots on goal. So realistically, probably a nice forward to have on a fourth line, but not a good player to have on your fantasy team there. So that's it for this episode. If you are listening or watching via YouTube, remember to hit like, hit subscribe. Remember that notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes there. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit follow, hit that heart, depending on which platform you're listening on. And we'll continue with these fantasy reviews. After that, we'll get into more of our draft strategy, top forwards, top goaltenders, sleepers, etc. And enjoy the rest of the fantasy off season, and good luck in your upcoming drafts here, fantasy owners.